Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4, Exchange to get a better endgame. Today we'll take a look in the game between Drev, Alexei, and Vallejo Pons Francisco. Let's take a look in the game. So here white is on the move, and what we can see here is that this king is still on e8, is in the center. Yes, white has like this knight on a4 that's a bit out of the game, but let's see. Please stop the video here and tell me how will you play this position for advantage from the white side. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. The move here is to start with the move e4. What's the plan? White idea here is at least to try to open up the position as much as possible, and that white can do with the move e4. As well, white wants to offer the trade of the light square bishops, because when the light square bishops are not in the game, this knight at some point can go back and can jump around with the ideas to try to focus his plan to attack the c7 pawn. So after the move e4 here, black took the bishop, and after rook h1, knight e6, knight c3. So here, as I said a few seconds ago, white wants to jump on the b5 or even to the square d5. Now, honestly, very good trade now from the black side. Black is keep fighting this position, and at this point, black said, your knight will not jump around, and black took bishop to c3. Very important trade for black to stay in the game. And after the move to b to c3, here black had a chance how to stay in the game, and that's a very important move, f6. The why f6 move is so important in this game. The black plan is to try not to allow any bishop e5, knight e5. So here controlling the f6 square with the plans of king f7, rook h d8, and I think here black should be okay. So here probably position is around equal, but the problem is after this bishop c bc, black first played the move rook to d8, and here, yes, white has let's say separated a and c pawns, but this bishop has a lot of space to make a mess on this very weak dark squares around the black king. So after the move rook to d8, white just simply moved the bishop to e5. After the bishop e5, black took once rook to d1, rook to d1, knight e5, and knight to e5. Here we can see, yes, this is the endgame, but the problem is that black pieces are not they're not doing a good things together here. Black is still on king is on e8. This rook is on h8, too far away from the from the center of situation. White rook is on d, and knight on e5 is pretty strong. So here white has a very nice advantage based on just on the positioning of his pieces. So after the move knight e5, black said, okay, f6. Let's see what you got. After the move f6, now white has a choice to make. Now, very important move is, I will not say it yet. So here, please stop the video and try to find where will you go with the knight after the move f6. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. Here, it's absolutely crucial for white to jump knight to d7. Main idea is after knight d7 is that this f6 pawn is becoming a real target, so white wants to include the rook in the next move and to keep the pressuring the pawn on f. A move like knight c4 in this position will not be so good, because black will just simply move knight to c8, and with the move knight c8, black is controlling d6 square, so I will say that white doesn't have enough here. So yeah, knight to d7, very nice move. King to f7 by black, trying finally to connect the rook in this position with the rest of the position. But here white suddenly played rook to d6, pressuring the f pawn. After the rook to d6, black played knight to c8. A little bit a tricky move with the knight to c8. The plan is if white takes rook to f6 check, the black plan was just to play move king to e7 to attack the knight and to attack the rook in the same time. And now the problem is the knight will go down. But in this position here, white was aware of this threat, and white just kept the pressure. He didn't take the f pawn, but here white just simply played the move rook to c6, saying, nope, I'm not taking the f pawn, but the f pawn is my target. So here black played the move rook to d8. Again, black is defending the f pawn in a different way. So here, if white knight, let's say, takes it, there is a move knight to e7. Suddenly, again, the rook is under attack, and white rook can't help this knight anymore. But after the move, let's say rook to d8, now it's a perfect and a very strong move from the white here. Find a way how white is keeping the pressure in this position after the move rook d8. So here, please stop the video and try to find the best way how white is playing for the win. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. Let's say the second important moment in this game, the crucial for white, is to push e5. And again, I will say the same thing is like there is always a tactic in the end game. You just need to follow, and you just need to find it. So here, after the move e5, the point is that black can't take the knight because of e6 check fork, and the rook is going down. So after the move e5, in this position, there is nothing else to do here. If he takes fe, the problem is white will just simply give a check. And after the move f4, next white move is just to give a check and to grab the h pawn. So here black will be very passive, and the position is just not good for black anymore. So after the move e5, here black played the move f5. With the move f5, black is saying, I want to try to block position as much as possible, but now white played knight f6, knight to e7, rook to the c7. Again, always when you have the rook, try to put the rook on the 7th or try to put the rook on the 2nd rank. The rook will make, let's say, a huge damage to the opponent position. Here, after the move king to e7, white finally connected the pawn. So now f4, and after the f4, e5 pawn is defended. Here, h6 black played. Black idea here was at least to try to play the move g5, but already this rook is too strong. White first took the a7, and from here everything is a pure technique by Drev. After the move g5, black at least tried to do something, but now white played the move knight to h5. White is saying, if you take, I will give you knight to g7 check. Let's take a look in the line. So if black takes it, this is a beautiful plan. Black can't take the pawn because rook will go down. And if he goes king f7, knight to f5, double attack on the knight on e7 from the knight and from the rook. And here, if he goes rook e8, knight to d6, check, double attack, and rook on e8 is going down. So let's go back a bit. And here, after the move knight h5, black played the move knight to g6. But here again, a couple of right moves, check, king to here, king must go to d5, there is nothing else to do. And now let's push, we have a pass pawn, push. And after the king to d6, third very important moment, white found a beautiful way how to push his pawns even faster. So again, please stop the video here and try to find a way how white is playing for the win in this position. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. Absolutely beautiful move is g4, pushing the g pawn forward. The problem is, however black takes the pawn, one white pawn will go forward. Here, black took gf, so he took a gf, and now white has like a 2 connected pawns. The problem is, if he takes fg, white will again play a move f5. So here, what happened in the game is, he took, but after gf, f3, nice again. Calculation process, f to g. The point is, knight can't be taken because rook is on time to control the f pawn, f2, rook to f7, rook to g8, and now last move white was e7. Brilliant. There is no time for black to sacrifice the rook for the knight because, okay, obviously we can't take the rook because of the queen, but here in this position, white will simply queen, and that's it for black. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game at all. Let's say, I hope you enjoyed this game. So let's go for the quick recap as we usually do. So the move e4 is definitely a very nice move. White plan is with the e4s to try to force some trades. With a couple of trades more, white pieces enter the game. And the problem for black is that this king can't go to castle. So after this couple of trades, a knight to 6, knight goes to c3. trying at least to jump on the b5 and d5. But here, black, I think this trade was pretty good. Bishop c3, bc, disconnecting the pawns. But I think here black played, let's say, made only one mistake in this game, and that's a move rook to d8, letting this bishop to go to the square e5. So here, the only move after the, let's say here for black to stay in the game, is the move f6, with the idea of king f7 to try to connect with the rooks. But here, rook to d8, unfortunately, on the board. And after the bishop to e5, trade, let's say trade, f6. And after the f6, again, white needs to be precise here to find the right square for the knight, and that right square is the square to d7, saying now the f6 pawn is my main target, and I will put the rook on d6, and I will do whatever just to get this f pawn. Here, black played king f7, and now rook to d6. In my opinion, this couple of next moves are very strong, especially after the knight c8. Don't touch the f-pawn, because f-pawn is a poison right now because of king e7, sorry, attacking the knight and the rook. But white played first rook c6, and absolutely favorite in this game is the move e5, saying you can't touch the knight, and at the same time you can't take this pawn, because then knight and the rook will be, knight and white rook will be very, very active. Here, black played f5, but the problem is that after these couple of moves back, rook is coming to the c7, and also f4 move. Now the white central pawn is connected with the f pawn, so now the advantage is just huge in the white favor. After the move h6, time to grab some pawns. Knight h5, white is saying, I want to give a couple of checks just to try to see how will you defend this knight on e7. And after knight g6, couple of checks, push the pawn forward. Third, in my opinion, let's say the most beautiful move in this game is the move g4. White is saying, yes, there are like 4 pawns on the king side, but one pawn will be white pawn that will be pushed forward. And after gf, f takes, and after the rook f7, white is just on time to get the f pawn. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. I hope you're enjoying these games. I hope you will make a lot of trades that will be good from your side, that you will win a lot of games with the right trades, and that's the point of these course. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the game one more time, and I'll see you in the next game. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4, Exchange to get better endgame. Today we'll take a look in the game between Kramnik Vladimir and Shirov Alexei. Let's take a look in the game. First of all, what we can see here is that this knight on a5 wants to jump to c4, and Kramnik, with his first move, he stopped this immediately. So here, the most important first move is a move b3. After the move b3, now as we can see that this knight can't jump, and that's a pretty good thing for white. After the move ab, black developed the queen to b6, and now the second important moment in this game. White needs to find a good square, and that square is a square c5. That square is a square that that white needs to put his knight. So here, it's pretty easy to find the right maneuver here, and the idea is to play a move knight to e1. Idea here behind this move is to jump knight e3, and from the knight to c5, I think this knight from c5 square will make a huge impact on the black position. That impact will not be good for black. So after the move knight e1, black played the move b4. So here with the move b4, black is trying to activate the bishop to go with the bishop to b5, but the problem is that this pawn on b4 will be a weakness that white can attack in some later stages of the game. White played the move knight to d3, nothing else than to play bishop b5, and finally knight is on the right. White knight is in the right square. Square is a c5, and after knight b7, I will say the third important moment in this game. So now white needs to find the right trades if white wants to fight for advantage. So please here stop the video and try to find the right moves for white if white wants to play for a win. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move order. It's absolutely essential for us to trade the rooks. Rook to a8. Nothing else for black except to take it. And after the bishop takes, queen takes. Now The next move is queen to d3. This is a longer variation, but I'm sure that Kramnik calculated everything from the start till the end. After the move queen d3, let's see what happens. White is offering the trade of the queens because after, let's say, queen to d3, knight to d3, the b pawn will become a huge target, and the b pawn is not so big problem because this white rook can also defend the pawn. Definitely the player, aggressive player is Shirov, he doesn't want to play the endgame in this type of position, so here after the move queen to d3, Black decided to play move queen to c6, but again, from here, my very important, let's say the move that I like very much is that now definitely White doesn't want to trade the knights. Why? Because knight on b7 is a pretty passive knight, and there are not so many good squares for this knight from b7. So here, White played the move knight to a4. Why the move knight a4 is so important? First of all, Black rook can't enter the a file anymore, so Black rook can't go to the square a3. And second of all, White is preparing not to open the a file. White idea here is to open the c file, to put the rook on the c and to try to control that c file as best as possible. Here, after the move knight a4, Black play knight d8 with the idea to at least try to activate the knight to over the square e6, but now White played the move rook c1, attacking the queen, and after the move queen b7, like we said, after the move rook c1, White wants to control the file, and after the move queen b7, Black idea here is to play a move rook to c8 to try to trade the rooks, but here White played the move queen to c2. White said, nope, you will not take control over the c file, so Black played the move f6 with a plan at least to try to open up the center, but White said, no, f4. White still wants to control the center. Black played bishop h6, again, waiting move g3. White is saying, I want to defend the f pawn in the best possible way, and after the f4 takes obviously with the d, knight to e6. At least Black is trying to activate his knight from d8, but the main problem for Black is that when knight is not anymore on the square of d8, now the c6 square is undefended and White pieces can enter that square. So here, White played the move queen c6, saying, yes, I want to trade your queen now, and I want to get control not only of the c file, but also of the sixth rank. So after the move queen c6 here, nothing else than to trade, and king f7. Here, this is a very important part of the endgame. Why? White has a beautiful rook, very strong knight and the bishop, but now why this in this endgame White has such a huge advantage? The main thing is that these pawns are also very easy target, but White needs to be careful how to reach these targets. Why? If White suddenly goes with the move rook b6, this whole advantage of White can just disappear because Black can play a move like rook c8. The point is, Black will gladly give this b pawn as just for a chance to activate the rook. Probably White is still winning here, but White doesn't want to give any glimpse of hope to the Black here. So the best move for White is, when you don't know what to do, just keep activating the king, and White played the move king to f2. After the move king f2, Black played rook b8, and White still played just king e2, bishop f8, king d3, and Black was under huge pressure here, and after the rook b7, suddenly White is winning. So here, please stop the video and try to find the best way for White to win. Thank you so much for your time. The best move here is to play rook to e6, sacrificing the rook, but the plan for White is to play knight c5, and after knight b7, the rook will go down. I hope you enjoyed this game. Let's go for the quick recap as we usually do. So in the position in the game, first move by White or move by Kramnik, b3, just a beautiful move to control the square. I will say, let's say if we're talking about this example from the start, even before exchanges here, White just beautifully controlled very important squares in the C file. So after the b3, takes, queen to b6, first important moment, knight e1, knight d3, knight c5, control the square, b4, knight jumping, bishop b5, jumping. And after knight b7, in my opinion, this was a critical moment in the game. White first decided to trade the rooks, so that's a very good trade. to trade the bishops. That's a second very good trade, and to offer the trade of the queens. So white traded all the pieces that he thought that black will use, but white didn't trade the knights because knight on c5 has much bigger value than the knight on b7. After the queen c6, white said, nope, I don't want to trade the knights. I want to destroy your activity over the a file, and then I want to use my c rook to put on c1. After knight d8, rook c1, and very important again, this small move, but very important, queen c2, to get full control over the c file. So after the f6, f4, white is controlling the center, nothing else, bishop h6, g3, fe, de, 96, and again, black tried to activate the knight, but the problem is that black can't control the c6 square anymore. Here, white played queen c6, rook c6, and king to f7. Just again, one advice is that in this type of the endgames, when you see the pawn that can be taken, always be careful. Think about how black or your opponent can make some counterplay. So here, white wanted to just to activate the king, not to go for the pawns. And that pressure, that huge pressure just like make the black to blunder in this. After the move rook b7, rook e6, here black resigned. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. So as you can see here, be careful. Find the right squares for your pieces. When you're trading, always try to think about what do I need to stay in the game? What do I need to trade? That way of thinking will help you to make good decisions in this middle games. Thank you so much, and then definitely hope to see you in the next game. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4, Exchange to get better endgame. Today we'll take a look in the game between Naidich Arkady, who had the white pieces, against Prohashka Peter, who had the black pieces in this position. Let's evaluate the position on the board. Black is in the move, but black in this position is under huge pressure. Why? First of all, this pawn on a6 is pretty annoying. In any type of the endgame, this a6 pawn will be a huge asset to white, especially because the a pawn, or let's say a7 pawn of black, will be a huge problem in every type of the endgame for black, because black always needs to defend the a pawn, and black needs to be careful. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that white has a bishop pair, and in this kind of the open positions, that's always nice to have. Black tried to, now with the one trade, black tried to make his position a bit easier to play, and black here played the move bishop to f4, offering the trades of the bishops. White was pretty happy to trade, because with this trade, white rook from a1 entered the game. Now after the rook a to d1, black played h6, waiting move, but white continued with the move rook to d2. Again, it looks like a waiting move, but the plan with rook d2 for white is just to put the rook from e1 to d1, and then dc5 move will be a next plan to put additional pressure over the d file. But black saw that, and black played the move c to d4, made a one trade. White took rook to d4, and after the move queen c7, finally, white made the maximum, put both rooks on the d file. Black was happy to play knight c5 here to offer the trades, and now here, very important moment, I will say the first moment of the huge importance for white is how white should play this for advantage. So here, please stop the video and try to find the best move for white, how white should fight for a win. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. The key move here for white is to play queen to e5 to offer the trade of the queens. Why? What's the problem now for black? If black takes queen e5, after the move knight e5, the main problem for black is that black can't defend the a pawn in a good way, because after the knight e5, this knight will just easily jump to the square c6, and from there a pawn is very close, so black will be in the huge trouble how to defend the a pawn. So it's pretty obvious that in this position black can't trade the queens. So after the move queen e5, black decided to go back, at least with the plan is to get the pawn. But white said, let's push. White pushed b4, attacking the knight. Nothing else for black to at least to release the tension over the on the d file. And after the rook d4, white took knight to d4, black took the pawn. But in meantime, white is also aggressive, and then white gave up a pawn, but for that one pawn, now the knight from d4 is going to c6, putting a huge aggressive idea to play knight e7 and to get the black queen. Now, after 96, when I analyzed this position, black had only one plan to stay in the game, and that was to move the king h8. But it's a narrow, easy move to play. So here, black decided to play a move queen to c7 to offer the trade. But here, white said, nope, I don't want to trade it right now, right here. I want to keep improving position as much as possible. And white played the move first, f4. So why f4 and not the trade of the queens? It's pretty obvious because with the move f4, now white king is very close to the center over the board. So one more time, I would like to say it, that in this position, the best plan for black to stay in the game was the move king h8, but again, this after the move c4, the position is so complicated, but black pieces are very passive, so I definitely think I will be always white in this type of the position. But let's go back. Here, black offered the trade, but after queen c7, f4, white took, knight to c7. Here, black finally attacked the bishop, but bishop is just going completely back, waiting for the right chance to come back to the game. Bishop to f1, and the problem for black is where to go with the knight. If this knight goes to d5, white plan is just to play c4 and rook to d7. So here, black jump to e4, but suddenly rook to d7. Finally, rook is in the right place, knight is under attack. Nothing else for black to do. This rook can't help the knight because rook c8 will be knight to e7, double attack on the king and on the rook. Nothing else than to play knight a8. So now the knight on e8 is in a very, very passive square. Again, white is now trying to push on the queen side, c4 getting more space. And now black tried to play a5. Idea with a5 is to sacrifice a pawn after the ba, knight a. Black wants to try to get the square b6 to jump, but here white said, nope, I'm not interested in the pawn. I want this black knight to stay here. So white played the move bishop to d3, attacking the knight, tempi, knight to c3, and white doesn't have any interest in the pawn. White just simply played the move b5. So now just take a look how both knights are very, very passive. After the b5, black played g5, but now king is entering the game. King f2, king g7, king e3. Again, when you don't know what to do, always try to activate the king, and that's exactly what knight is doing in this position. After the move h5, bishop to c2, very nice move. As I wrote here, it's like like white is actually hunting two knights in the same time. This knight can't enter the game, but also this knight is also in the huge danger. After knight a2, bishop e4, and after the rook c8, again, there are like a couple of ways how white is winning. One way is to play knight d8, and the second move is also to play a move rook a7. Now here, as you can see, that black pieces are in a kind of like a zugzwang. There is no useful move with the rook, and both knights are kind of like in a very bad spot. So here, just we can say that black resigned. Very nice move, just completely, just a perfect and very nice play in the endgame. I think when black offered trade of the queens, that was kind of like a critical moment in the game. Let's we go for the quick recap here as usual. So the position here is the move is bishop to f4. So okay, the first trade, I think here with bishop f4, this trade is okay for black. After this rook a to d1, and h6 waiting move, it's fine. Rook to d2 also was good from the both sides, cd, and the queen to c7. After rook to ed1, black played knight c5 with the idea to at least try to trade the rooks. And first very important moment, white played this beautiful trade of the queen. So after the queen to e5, white wants to make a trade so the knight can attack the a pawn at some point. But here, black first refused. So with the queen c8, b4, this, and after knight a6, black had this only one chance in this type of position, that just to move king h8, so queens must be on the board. That's like the last resource for black to make some kind of a counterplay, but instead Black decided to try to find his luck in the endgame, but after queen c7, first very important move is the move f4. So white is already prepared for the endgame to activate the king from f2 e3. Nothing else now to do for black because the knight is already hanging. So here black must enter this endgame. And now after knight e7, like I said, one step back to go a couple steps more. So bishop to f1. No good square except to e4. And again, whenever you have a chance to go to the second or go to the 7th rank, just go there. Rook to d7. After the move knight a8, it's very important to say that white is not interested to get any pawns. White is just interested to get the whole knight on the a8. Here, white first plays c4, and after the a5, again, white is not interested to take any additional material. White played the move bishop d3, in between move, attacking the knight, and at the same time preparing the white king to enter the situation. After knight e3, beautiful move, b5. No, it will be like a huge mistake to take ba, because even if white takes the pawn, the knight will go away from the cage, and that's something that white doesn't want to let. So here, white played b5, and now, just when you don't know what to do, just activate the king, and that's what happened here. King f2, king g7, king e3, h5, and now after the move bishop c2, white is hunting not only the one knight but both of them. So white played knight a2, bishop on the beautiful. Bishop is the most, let's say, beautiful piece when it's an open diagonal. What bishop e4, now you just preparing that this to attack the knight on a8, and after the move rook a7, black just, let's say, here resigned because there is no useful moves for the rest of the pieces here. Like white has so many different ways to win. One of them is just to play bishop f3 to target, also to activate the king, and to play a move c5 just to make a break. So here, before all of this happened, black resigned the game. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. As you can see here, especially when you're defending some positions, you need to be careful not to trade. You need to understand, to try to give your best to see it. Do you need the queens on the board or you don't need? In this game, queens were like a must-have situation to have a queens on the board, because here, like the end game was a big problem for black, and here black didn't use his chance with the queens on the board, and he lost this game. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying these examples, and I hope you will use this knowledge in your games. Thank you so much, and see you in the next game. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4, Exchange to get a better endgame. Today we'll take a look in the game between Dreev Alexei and Milos Gilberto. Let's take a look in the game. As we can see here, here we have a lot of rooks on the d file. So 2 rooks on d, especially this d2 and d1, and also 2 rooks of black, d7 and d8. So here white has a small edge. Why? First of all, white has like a 3 against the 2 on the queen side. That's always nice to have a majority of the pawns on the queen side. Also, the knight on e8 is in a bit of passive square. When that's the case, white has a very nice, small but very nice advantage. Here, the question is how white should proceed from here. So here, please stop the video and try to find the best move in this middle game. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. In this position, the best move for white is to play a move c5. White idea here is to try to break the queen side of black. Obviously, the moves like a bc are not good because knight will jump to c5 with in the same time attacking the a6 pawn and d7 rook. That will be a double attack and black will be in trouble. Also, the moves like rook b8 are not so good, because like white can simply just take the pawn, and after that queen c5 check, queen b6 check. Also, with all of these things, white can just keep making the trades and entering the endgame where white will have a and 3, so a3 and b2 pawn against the a6 pawn of black. So here black decided to block and black played at b5. So here, if white wants to continue this game to play, white first played the move bishop c2, saying, okay, I'm offering the trades of the rooks. Let's a little bit relax the whole position. After the bishop c2, white activated his knight, so knight f6, and now white played the move queen to c3. Very nice maneuver by the white queen. Main plan for white is to keep an eye on the e5 pawn, but also in the same time to try to put the knight or the queen on the a5 square. After the move queen c3, black moved the bishop, bishop a8, and now white played the move knight to a5. So very nice battery, queen and the knight together. Idea of knight a5 is to keep control over the c6 pawn and at the same time prepare b4, maybe even c6, depends how black is defending this position. White decided to trade, so rook to d2, rook to d2, rook to d2, queen to d2, and now finally we have a move king to e7. So just to say, first of all, move queen c5 here is not possible. Why? Because white will simply give a checkmate with the move queen to d8. Sorry, it's not checkmate because knight can go back, but the bishop on a8 will go down. So here, in this position after queen d2, black decided to come closer with his king and to play a move king to e7. So definitely one of the rules in chess is when the queens are not to board, try to go with your king to the center of the situation or the center of the board as soon as possible. But here after king e7, white said, okay, your king is there. I want to put a little impact of that king, and white here played the move queen to b4, trying to say, okay, I want to push c6 and in the same time I want to attack your king on e7. So, but let's go back a bit. In this position after the move queen d2 and king e7, it's very important to say why after the move king e7, b4 is not the good move. If white continues with the b4, black idea here is just simply to play a move queen to d7. With the move queen to d7, black idea is to trade the queens, but then the difference is that black can, after the move a4, black plan is to play bishop to c6, trying to protect the b pawn, and at the same time black is saying, I have a blockade, and now you need to be very good if you want to unblock my queen side. So here white didn't push, so white used that square for the queen. So white played queen to b4, queen to d7, and now I will say one of the critical moments in this game is what white should do next to attack the queen side. So please stop the video and try to find a move for white in this position. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. In this position, the best move for white is to play a move a4. White now needs to attack, and white now needs to open the queen side as soon as possible. First of all, just to say, move c6 check is not achieving anything because the black queen can go to d6, and now the black idea here is to trade the queens and to enter with the king on e7. Now suddenly the c pawn will become a weakness, so white must be careful. So after the move queen to d7, white played a very strong move a4, and now black is in a very tough spot. Here, obviously, any taking on a4 will just activate the bishop, and then the c pawn will become, let's say, a monster on the c file. So here, black decided to release attention with his idea how to defend the queen side. So here, black played the move queen to d4. Again, interesting moment. Again, I will say the same thing. So please stop the video here and try to find a way how white should play this position for the win. Thank you for your time. I hope you find the right move. After the move queen d4, it's absolutely crucial for white to take that queen. Yes, it looks a bit strange because after queen d4, white will improve the pawn structure of black after e d4, but the point is that white already has like a huge pressure on the queen side, and yes, the black pawns will be kind of like in a better shape, but the queen side of black will not be in the good shape as well. So after the move ed, white played the move bishop to d3. Good move, putting the pressure on all of these pawns. If black takes on a4, white idea here is simply to take the a6 pawn. After the move that black said, okay, black decided to fight fire with fire, and black here played the move knight to d7, attacking the pawn on c5. Nothing else for white to do except to defend the c pawn, not to push, because push can be a bit too much. If we push the pawn, black knight will go to e5, attacking the bishop and preparing to take the c pawn. So no need for white to push. White idea here is to keep the c pawn alive. So here white played the move b4. After the b4, black played knight to e5, attacking the bishop, and now it's a very important what square to choose here from the white side. White played the move bishop to f1, very important, not bishop e2, because then black can push this pawn with a tempi, so it's very important to put the bishop on f1, saying now white is pressuring the queen side on the same time, and now black has a huge problem how to defend the queen side. Black played the move bishop to c6. So here, please, again, stop the video and try to find the best way for white to play this endgame for a win. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. In this position, the crucial thing is to take knight to c6, knight with the bishop. Why? Without the bishop, bishop is the last defender over the queen side. Without the bishop, this endgame is very easily win, and we will see it how. So after 96, white took a to b, bishop to b5. Looks like a trade. It looks like that white gave up one pawn and black gave up another one, but the problem is we have a bishop against the knight endgame, and now white is going to hunt this knight over the whole board. After the knight b4, king to b2, idea is pretty simple. Let's go king to b3 to take the knight. Black played d3, king to c3, attacking the knight in this position. Nothing else for knight to do, but after bishop d3, knight to e3, still knight is trying to run, but after the g3, knight to d1, king to d2, now black resigned. Why? The problem is if black goes to f2, white want to play bishop f1, stopping to this knight to go away, and now white plan is to play king e2 and take the knight. In the other hand, if this knight goes to b2, white plan is to play bishop to b5, and now after the king c2, knight is going down again. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. Let's go, as we usually do, let's go for the quick recap. So with the move c5, this move is a pretty strong idea. White decides to push his majority 3-on-2 with the idea to try to open up the queen side as soon as possible. After the b5, again, very nice move, bishop to c2. White is offering the trades of the rooks, because without the rooks on the board, again, the queen side of black will be more vulnerable. So after knight to f6, queen to c3, nice maneuver. White is saying, I want to keep an eye on e5 pawn, but also to prepare an action on the a5 square. So knight jumped, trade 1, trade 2, queen to d2. Again, black can't take the c5 pawn because white has this beautiful check from behind. So here black decided to activate the king, but now white played the move queen to b4, saying, I keep an eye on your kings with ideas of c6. Queen to d7, and now beautiful time has come to destroy the queen side. White played the move a4. There is not so much, let's say, not so many things that black can do here. Black decided to offer a trade of the queens, at least to try to improve his pawn structure. But after the queen d, ed, white said, okay, I don't have a problem to improve your pawns because I'm going for the queen side, so bishop to d3. Nothing else to do with knight than knight d7, but white is saying, nope, I want to control the c pawn still, so b4, and after knight d5, back, bishop c6, I will say the third critical moment in this endgame. The main point for white is to play this endgame bishop against the knight, because bishop is much better than the knight. Why? You will see it in a couple of seconds. After knight e6, knight e6, AB, bishop b5. The problem for black is that after knight b4, king to b2, there is a no good square for this knight, and after a couple of moves, the knight on c2 was trapped. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. One very nice game by Gelfand. It's just showing you how you need to use your good things in your chess pawn majority, let's say here 3 against 2, and also you can see it how the bishop is better against the knight, especially in the positions where there is no good square for the knight to stay there. Thank you so much. Again, I hope you will enjoy this. I hope you will enjoy this game, and I hope you will use this little, let's say, secrets from this chapter. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 4, Exchange to get to better endgame. Today we'll take a look in the game between Gelfand Boris and Kampora Daniel. I hope you will enjoy this game. Let's take a look in the situation on the board. Why? There is a big fight here over the c file. 2 white rooks on the c, but also 2 black rooks on the c. Here, let's talk about the good things and why I think that white is better in this position. First of all, there is this beautiful a5 pawn that's actually controlling these 2 pawns on a6 and b5. In what kind of way controlling? Almost in every type of the endgame, when the pawn is on a5, this a6 pawn will be a weakness. And here white has a different ways how to attack this pawn on a6. One of them is definitely to play move like knight to b4. But before all of this happened here, Gelfand decided to make a couple of trades on the c file. So first move, rook to c7, and after rook c7, queen c7. This is again interesting moment. So here, please stop the video and try to find the best move for white in this position. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. In this position, the most important move is to keep fighting for the c file. So here, the best move for white is just simply to play a move queen to c1. Why this move is so important? First of all, black can't take the a5 pawn. The reason is that white can simply give a check on c8, attacking the king and attacking the knight, and this knight on b8 is going down. Here, there is nothing else to do except to trade the queens. Why? If black queens move, then the white queen will have a huge pressure over the c file, and black can't let that happen. So here, black first took queen to c1, and after knight c1, now we're entering in the phase of this endgame when both sides will maneuver their pieces. So after the move knight c1, black play knight to fd7, king is coming closer, knight jumps, king is coming closer, king e7, and now white decided to play a move b4, saying, I want here, white wants to kick the knight from a c and then to prepare the square d3 for his knight. After knight going to d7, what's very important as well is to keep trying to improve all the pieces of white. And here, that's a very important thing to do, is to put the bishop on the h3, trying to use this beautiful diagonal h3 c8. Knight jumped, knight to d3, and after the passive move of black knight d8, now white is saying, okay, here white needs to open up. Why to open up? White needs to find the new weaknesses in the black position. There is for now, there is always, let's say here, there is already this one weakness on the a6 square that, let's say, bishop can from c8 to get, but that weakness is not enough to win this game. We need another one. So here, white played the move f4, trying to open up position in the center as much as possible. After the move f4, here, black played the move f6, trying to keep the pressure, or not the pressure, and try to keep this fortress in the center with the pawn, so he played f6. Now, bishop to c8, a little bit, I will say, waiting move, knight c7, and now king to f3. Very nice move, and the question is, why? White wants to go with the king in the right moment in these 4 squares. So now depends, of course, how black is defending, but white idea is to come closer with the king, with the idea to try to attack the king side. Black played king d8 with the idea to move the bishop. Black played bishop f5, going back. Black jumped, knight to d7, and now white pushed h4. Again, idea is the same, just with the move h4, white is preparing that at some point when white takes this g6 and g7 and h6 pawn, this h pawn is already going to become a queen. After the move knight to f8, h5. Trying to fix these 2 pawns, and now idea of white is to go from this side, king to g4 and king to f5. Black played knight to e8, maneuver, knight to f2, and after knight e7, knight to d1. Beautiful silent move, but a very, very strong. Idea of white is to play knight to e3, and in the same time to move the bishop, let's say, to g6, and to play knight to f5, with idea to get to g7 pawn. That was the main reason why white pushed this h pawn as far as possible to get to the g pawn. After knight 2, so here nothing else for black to play except to knight to e8, jump, knight to e3, knight e7, and now white here played the move bishop h3, a little bit, let's say, dancing, knight e8, bishop f5. They're probably like, when this type of things happen, it's usually because they're, let's say, on the move 40, the both sides are getting additional time. So I believe that they were like a very close to the time control. So they sometimes the sides are repeating the moves in that time. So after the bishop f5, black played knight e7, and now white played bishop to g6, preparing the move knight to f5. Now the point is that black can't play knight e8 anymore, because after knight to f5, the g pawn will be attacked because the bishop can take the knight. After the bishop g6, knight takes, pawn takes, knight to e8, jump. Beautiful. Now this knight is completely dominate situation, dominate over the, especially this knight on e8, who's passively must defend the g7 pawn. King d7, king g4, king to d8, and now king h5. You're probably asking why the king is going there. The solution is very simple. After the move king d7, sacrifice, knight to g7, lovely move. And after the move knight to g7, there is nothing that black can do except to take it. After knight g7, king h6, f5. This is actually the moment where I want to stop the clocks, and let's say I would like you to stop the video, and I will ask you, how will you proceed from here? So please try to calculate how white needs to play for a win from this exact moment. Thank you so much. I hope you found the right move order. Here, important thing for white first is to take king to g7. The point is, after fe4, king to f7, e3, g7, push, e2, queen. After the queen, queen e8 check, and after king t7, queen t6. Now the problem is, after this check on t6, all the black pawns are going down. King b8, take, check, check, and now everything just goes easily. And here black resigned because this pawn will be pushed forward. So it's a pretty nice endgame and a pretty nice technique, but Gelfand. Okay, so let's take a back here. The first, I think the most important stuff here is to make these trades over the c-file. I really like how Gelfand did that. It's pretty obvious that white wanted to play this endgame knight against the bishop, against the two knights, and with this type of the endgame, white will just attack all the, let's say, pawn problems, or let's say pawn weaknesses in the black position. So here, very nice trades and very nice move queen c1, saying is, I'm defending my a pawn because I want to play a move queen to c8 from behind. So there is nothing else for black to do except to trade queen c1, knight c1. And after knight d7, we are entering this maneuvering phase. So king f2, king e3, and king e7. It's very important to say that b4 move is a very, very strong move because white doesn't want to play the endgame like knight to d3, knight d3, bishop d3. The problem is that here black will have huge chances to make a draw because this is a blockade position, and just the bishop against the knight is not enough here to punish the black. So here it's very important is after the move king e7 to play a move b4, targeting the knight, and after there bishop to h3 with the plan to go from behind and to get the c8. So here knight to d3, knight to e8, f4. White is trying to open up and to find a new weakness. And after move f6, it's a very, let's say we can see that white found that weakness, and that's a f pawn, f not pawn, that's a f5 square. After a couple of maneuverings, now I will say, in my opinion, very important move, h4. Plan is, yes, at some point to go with the king to g4, h5, or also just to make of this g7 pawn to look like a serious weakness when the white pawn get to the h5. So here, black play knight f8, h5, knight e8, and now actually what is even the best move I think in this endgame is the move knight to f2. Why? After the move knight e7, we just play the move knight to d1 with the plan of knight e3, bishop g6, knight f5. So that's kind of like a basic plan. And here, after this couple of moves, hg knight e8, after knight f5, again, here the critical moment is definitely to play the move knight to g7 or knight to g7, because here we get that one tempi. And after the move f5, king g7, fe, king f7. Now, when the promotion come up, the white queen will be just on time to get all the black pawns from this moment. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. It's a very easy game in this chapter. You just need to make a couple of good trades, and then you need to, to play the endgame for the win the whole time. I think it's a pretty nice game and easy to play this kind of a chess. I hope you will win some of your games in this way as well. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next chapter. Bye.